Hello and welcome to yet another lecture, lecture number 30. This is a tutorial and a very special kind of a tutorial, only one of its kind, and this is a bibliographical survey. So, you have already been given a reading list with reasonably good bibliography, but the problem there is that so they will all be in the alphabetical order of the surname of the authors. Here what we will do is we will go a bit thematically according to particular topics, though not very exhaustively. And another important reason we are doing this is that there is also a way to acknowledge the various authors from whom we have drawn for this course. So, as you would have already noted, this work, this entire course has been possible due to hundreds of researches having been done in this field. And throughout the lectures, since it's a lecture and we have been using only slides, it would be very cumbersome to acknowledge in the slides, unlike in a book or a article where you can acknowledge through footnotes and endnotes. So, here it will become very clumsy, each slide with each sometimes one particular sentence will have material from 2 or 3 different authors, and then the entire slides will look very clumsy, but there's no denying the fact that all of this has been possible due to work, research work done by several people. So, whatever I have said in this course or will be saying is not what I have myself personally worked on. So, this is also an opportunity to acknowledge, and all the authors from whom this set of lectures is drawn, so maybe some 20 to 30 authors. So, they will all figure here, the names will be here, and of course, there will be more as well. So, moving on, so we will start from the most general kind. Suppose you want to get to know what happened in the colonial period in just say 50, 60 pages. I think one of the best ways of doing it is to take this book by David Arnold, which is specifically not about medicine, but it's about science, technology and medicine in the colonial period. And there is a particular chapter on medicine in the colonial period, that's chapter 3, and of course there are other sections in other chapters which deal with medicine. And incidentally, there is a very useful bibliographic essay at the end of the book, and section 3 of that actually does almost a similar kind of a thing. In fact, this is also borrowed from that. The only thing is that this is even more updated, and so that's the difference. But that's one of the easiest, and if you want to have a quick survey in just about an hour or so, you can go through those sections. And then there are these other very broad based books covering several aspects like public health, medical education, professionalization, all that. So, starting from one of the earliest ones, 1991, Poonam Bala had written this work on imperialism and medicine in Bengal. So, though it's only about a presidency, but it gives a fairly good idea, broad idea. And David Arnold came with his magnum opus specifically on medicine, that's colonizing the body. Similarly, Mark Harrison, public health in British India, Anglo-Indian preventive medicine. Then Anil Kumar's Medicine and the Raj, that also by and large deals with the Bengal, but it gives an overall sense of the kind of things that happened in the colonial period. And Radhika Ramsubban's chapter in a broader book, Disease, Medicine and Empire, covers other colonial empires as well, but this particular one is on India. And Roger Jeffrey's Politics of Health covers a larger period, but the first part deals with the colonial period. And this last book among the general books is by Pratik Chakrabarti. This is on medicine and empire, but it covers the different colonial empires, Spanish, French, and different issues, and basically trying to see how that empire building was very much related to medicine, or the medicine in those various empires and their own lives were very much the trajectories of medicine even in the home countries was very much influenced by their imperial adventures. So it covers almost all major colonial powers and almost 3 centuries and more. So apart from this broad books, there are some very useful, so I'll mention about 2 or 3 edited volumes. So edited volumes are always very useful because they have a variety of chapters, and so for instance, the first one we'll see here is edited by Bishomoypathy and Mark Harrison, and the title of the book is same as the name of the course, almost, the Social History of Medicine and Health in colonial India. So we will see the range of chapters there. See, for instance, so they have an introduction, then we have work on topography, we have work on Hajj pilgrimage, then we have an article on the role of indigenous subordinate staff. We haven't talked much about them in the course, but that will give you an idea, including police staff, not necessarily just the health staff. Then next one is about plague, and then next one is about Kala-Azar, leprosy, and lunatic asylum. So some of these things which we have not covered in the course, these particular things like leprosy and mental illness, so they are also covered in this. And particular article on the health of the army people, then about anatomy, about pharmacology, and medical advertisements, about opium. So you can see, so that's an advantage of edited volumes like this. And the next edited volume we are looking at is called Medical Encounters in British India. This is by Deepak Kumar and Rajshekhar Basu. So there again you see different kinds of, so first is a kind of an introduction, probing history of medicine and public health in India. Then second one is a piece on anatomical knowledge. Then the third one is about bazaar medicine to state medicine, the kinds of movements between the two worlds. Then next one is about food. That's again one thing which we have not talked about much. Then health and sovereignty, the decline and rise of the tropics. Then we have work on cholera, but then focusing on homeopathic approaches to it. So this again, so one of the things you will find is, so in the course normally we are doing it the broad strokes, but here you will find specific case studies about specific places, like you say here in Benares. Then we'll see, for instance, the 9th chapter there is about malaria control in Bombay Presidency. Then we have a chapter on missionaries. Then we have particular focus here. The 10th one is about women, and particularly to their vulnerability to bacillus. Then about subalternity, which we have not discussed much. About abortion, we have discussed about contraception a little bit, but then these will give more details. Then moving on to the next book of this kind, so again by Bishomoypathy and Mark Harrison. This one titled as Society, Medicine and Politics in Colonial India. So the You'll see so first is the introduction. Then, so we have given topics like on assisted suicide, then cholera, then about Unani medicine, then about cholera in pilgrim sites. So we have a piece on indigenous medicine, missionaries. This one, seventh one, particularly focusing on Madras presidency and epidemics there. Then this one is about insanity again. Next one is also, ninth one is also on mental illness. Then further articles on women, gender, sexuality. Then the 12th one, again focusing on Bombay presidency and on medical personnel, in that case physicians. Then the next one is on East India and then focusing on a particular disease. So that's the advantage with these kinds of edited volumes. So hopefully you'll have access to some of them. Then moving on to particular areas. So for instance, if you want to look more about the Indian medical service or military health, the military problems in the army. So these are some of the books. And so if you go to epidemic diseases, so for instance, the first 4-5 entries are on cholera. So Ira Klein, David Arnold again, Mark Harrison again Mark Harrison. So this is all on cholera. Then influenza is one thing which we hadn't discussed much. So one of them as late as 2019. Then the next three are on malaria, Sheldon Watts, again Eric Klein, and Rohan Debroy, especially the use of quinine. The next one is about Kala-Azar, which we already came across as a chapter in one of those edited volumes. Then the next few pieces are about tackling these various epidemics, vaccination and the kinds of reactions. So these three and some more as well. Yeah, so that one on TB vaccination. Of course, we haven't talked about TB also much. The next two are on leprosy. That's again we haven't talked about. So this is Saurabh Mishra's book exclusively on the pilgrimage, Hajj pilgrimage related health issues, which of course we had been discussing in a couple of lectures. The next one by Nandini Bhattacharya. So this is about diseases in tea plantations. So this particularly centered around Darjeeling. The next one by Sandhya Polu and the following one by Sunil Amrit are about the international dimensions. Then as if to bring it close to our times, so we have David Arnold again. So this was written in the heat of the COVID. So as the title rightly says, Pandemic India, Coronavirus and its Uses History. So this is a journal article, and then just in 2002, so this is a panoramic coverage. So Pandemic India, so starting from cholera right up to the 21st century COVID. Then the next broad topic is interaction between Western medicine and indigenous systems, or not necessarily interaction, the way they survived. So the first one is actually a very broad one. It's beyond India, and also it gives an idea of the ways that this entire topic has been dealt with in history. So it's more of a historiographical survey. So with examples from different cases. I think only one or two are actually from India, but it's good to read that to have a broader historiographical understanding of this entire area. Then we have this piece about Bengal in a volume which is actually very useful to read. So, the volume is actually Charles Leslie's Asian Medical System Comparative Study, which has got several articles on different indigenous systems across Asia. And the next one is about responses, particularly in Bombay Presidency. Next one is on Punjab, Kavita Sivaramakrishna's. Next one is broadly on Northern India. The next couple of works are specifically on pharmaceuticals and production, and Madhuri Sharma's particularly has a lot to say about the way things were marketed, the place of advertisements and similar things. Then of course this one, the last one, gives an idea of the situation in more contemporary times. So, nationalizing the body by Projit Mukherjee. So, sometimes people include it in the list of works on indigenous, but actually it is not actually on indigenous medical systems, but it's basically about Indians taking Western practicing Western systems, and how much they are also located within the surrounding happenings of nationalism, and how so Western medicine in Indian hands is no longer entirely Western, and how they are straddling between different worlds, and the kinds of hybridizations happening at a different level, and how they effectively use the benefits of print and the emerging market, and those kinds of things. The next three are about Unani, and dealt with in different ways. The next set of works is about women. So, one of the earliest is by Margaret Balfour and Ruth Eng. It's called Work of Medical Women in India, as early as 1929. And then we have over the years other scholars working on different aspects. So, these four are broad, and the next two, by Mridula Ramana and Amlika Guha, is particularly about doctors, physicians, women physicians. The next two are about midwifery, in particular Geraldine Forbes and Amlika Guha's work. This one by Mridula Ramana is on maternal health, and the next couple of them, Jeffrey and Sarah Hodges, is about childbirth, and also about avoiding having children, that is contraception, birth control. And the next few entries are about prostitution and sexually transmitted diseases, issues of sexuality in general. So, first one is Philippa Levine, it's venereal disease. So, this is in 1994, and then she came with a fully fledged book in 2003 covering larger ground. So, this again, all these are about Judy Whitehead, Douglas Pearce, and Anne Stoller, is about prostitution, issues of sexuality and sexually transmitted disease, carnal pleasures. And the last one by Anna Stoller is not specifically about India, it's considers at a broader level with imperialism and colonialism at large. So, next set of books is about sanitary policy. So, over the years, starting from 1980s, we have these different works on sanitation and hygiene as part of preventive health. Then we have a range of collections on the role of Christian missionaries, starting specifically from the Zenana to more broadly. The second one is not specifically on medicine, so it's about missionaries and princely state of Travancore, but then there are portions of it which deal with medicine, but others are more particularly about what you can call the missionary medicine. So it deals with particular people or particular areas. So you can see different kinds of pain, and also even a particular disease, like for instance the last one, Christian sisters in bubonic plague, and also in a particular area. So this is just so this is not an exhaustive thing, but just to put under different topics as varied a set of samples as possible. Then we come to nursing, which I think is the last category. So we have something starting from 1906, the history of nursing, but that's broadly in the British Empire. Then closer home, we have these works, but the problem with most of them is that they are, especially the books, are mostly about post-independent period, and even those which have a longer span, so they devote only a small portion to the pre-independence period, and so that issue is being addressed specifically by scholars like Sneha Sanyal, so which means and even Radha Gayatri, so which means there's a lot more work to be done in this area. So this is one area where there is considerable poverty of material with regard to the colonial period. So this is survey of some of the broad areas. So I hope you will not only go through these, but also as a kind of your own kind of what you can call homework on your own, build or expand this with even more specific areas, and especially as part of your general reading. So when you take a book, there will be other kinds of things, for instance, on nutrition or leprosy and other things, so which you have not covered. So you can create even new headings, and then even at least from the footnotes there, you can build up a more thematic bibliographical survey. And what you can do also as part of your continued engagement is that rather than just listing them out, so you can that itself is a good effort. So rather than a bibliography arranged by alphabetical order, so this is at least is the first good effort, putting them according to themes. That one more thing you can do is actually as and when you read, you can put a few lines as in when you read something, then you put them there about whatever is at least a summary of it. So it becomes a bibliographical essay. And then of course you can go one step further at your more advanced level, so you can be more critical and look at the way the job has been done over the years and over the entire domain. So then it will become historiographical survey essay. So these are interesting things you can do, and of course so also make use of the bibliography that you have been given, and from there again you can choose particular works. In fact, from there itself you can choose and add, as I said, under each heading, so it's not very exhaustive. So you can, from there itself you can add under these headings and create new headings. And because one of the most important things is that so these lectures are not the beginning and the end. So these are just like teasers, as kind of appetizers to get you to read more of these books, and at least first to know the kinds of works that are being done, and as and when you get time to read as many of them as possible. I hope you'll enjoy that extra reading. On that note, we close this bibliographic survey, short bibliographic survey. Take care.